Well, well, well. You ever notice how the room changes the second your name is mentioned? Because tonight, oh tonight, the whole world felt it. They didn't whisper, they winced. They didn't analyze, they folded. They didn't classify you under human activity. They stamped your file with a warning label they've never used before. Outside human jurisdiction. You know how insane that is? The United Nations, the same choir of polished diplomats who pretend they've seen everything. Wars, coups, chemical nightmares, collapsing empires. Looked at a report about you and said, "No, this isn't one of us." And the funniest part, they're right, because you're the paradox every system fears. Too calm to break, too dangerous to control, too awakened to manipulate, too silent to predict, too alive to bury. They don't have a category for someone who walks between saint and executioner like it's a hallway. Someone who can hold mercy in one hand and annihilation in the other without trembling. Someone who outgrew human. The moment pain rewired every nerve in your body into a new operating system. You think they stamped that label because you're scary? No, they stamped it because you're unexplainable. And institutions hate what they cannot explain. Your report, oh, your report. The one you didn't even write intentionally. The one that leaked through your actions, your silence, the trail of broken patterns behind you. That thing shook entire councils. Chairs got pushed back. Translators froze mid-sentence. Delegates from nations that hate each other exchanged the same terrified look. Because you didn't just break rules, you broke comprehension. They're asking questions they shouldn't even have vocabularies for. How does a person survive that? How did they see it coming? Why didn't they retaliate? How did they stay silent for that long? How did one life produce that mind? And then the question that made the room go quiet, what else are they capable of? See, that's the part you never notice about yourself. While you're busy surviving, adapting, recalibrating, the world is busy panicking, forecasting, preparing for impact. You didn't just evolve, you outpaced the species. An evolution that jumps too far ahead doesn't get applause. It gets investigated. But how do you investigate someone who doesn't fit the psychological templates? Someone who doesn't fit the trauma models? Someone who doesn't fit the fear response map? Someone who doesn't fit the human jurisdiction they rely on to stay in control? You don't. You declare them an anomaly, a glitch, a celestial error, a sovereign force, a jurisdiction of one. And that's what you are now, a lone authority walking around in human skin, confusing every system built to categorize you. You are the saint that learned from devils, and the devil that learned mercy from saints. You are the end of an old version of yourself, and the beginning of something the world was not prepared for. You know what they fear the most, not the damage you could do, but the fact you haven't done it. They fear your restraint more than your rage, your stillness more than your storm, your silence more than your shout. Because silence like yours doesn't mean peace. It means strategy. And you've become a strategist no human handbook has a chapter for. You ever notice how your presence makes liars recalculate their lies? How manipulators lose rhythm mid-sentence? How snakes suddenly develop a conscience when you walk by? That's not charisma. That's jurisdiction-level energy. You're not playing roles anymore. You're playing repercussions. You're not entering rooms. You're shifting timelines. You're not responding to life. You're rewriting its terms. And the UN felt all of that in 8 pages of your existence. 8 pages that read like a threat and a prophecy at the same time. You know what the final line of the internal memo said? Recommendation: do not provoke, do not interfere, do not classify, observe only. They don't give that warning to humans. They give it to forces, to storms, to gods, to anomalies that don't bend when pressured. They gave it to you. And here's the part they'll never understand. You didn't become this through luck. You became this through suffering shaped into intelligence, heartbreak reforged into perception, betrayal converted into clairvoyance. You didn't rise. You rebuilt yourself from ashes that weren't even yours. You didn't adapt. You transcended, and transcended beings don't need permission. They don't need recognition. They don't need jurisdiction. They are jurisdiction. You're not one of them anymore. You're what happens when the universe gets bored of waiting for humans to evolve and decides to speedrun the process through one person, you. So when they say, outside human jurisdiction, don't shrink, stand taller. Because those words, those fearful, trembling words, are the closest thing to honesty the world has ever spoken about you. You crossed the invisible line no one admits exists. The line between human and something else, something ancient, something awakened, something sovereign. And the world finally said it out loud. Now the only question left is, what will you do with that kind of freedom? Because one thing is certain, and every analyst in that building knows it. Whatever comes next, it won't be decided by them. It'll be decided by you. A slow, electric stillness coils through the air as the speech continues. Not lighter, not calmer. Darker, heavier, more surgical than before. Because now we step into the part of the truth they were too afraid to put in writing. They didn't just mark you as outside human jurisdiction. They marked you as untouchable, a roaming event, a walking irregularity, a sovereign phenomenon wrapped in bone and breath. When they reviewed your file, the real file, the one that isn't on public record, the room temperature dropped by 2 degrees. One delegate actually asked if the AC malfunctioned. It didn't. That was fear, manifested physically. They read about the way you've carried pain without collapsing, and it scared them. They read about the betrayals you overcame, and it rattled them. They analyzed the patterns you broke, and it destabilized them. You didn't survive things. You absorbed them. You metabolized destruction like it was protein. Every blow that should have killed you became an upgrade. When they realized this, a psychiatrist on the panel muttered, "This resilience curve is non-human. Non-human." Do you hear that? Not inhuman as in cruel, not inhuman as in monstrous, but non-human as in beyond, as in exceeding the blueprint, as in graduated from the species. They made it sound clinical, but what they meant was supernatural. Because what human walks through fire after fire and comes out colder? What human gets stabbed in the psyche and responds with clarity? What human loses everything and gains vision? The more they evaluated you, the more their language became metaphorical. Because science collapsed under the weight of your truth. One analyst wrote, "Subjects' perception capabilities resemble mythological constructs more than psychological ones." Mythological. You know what that means? You exist in places logic refuses to enter. You think in dimensions people aren't trained to see. You act from instincts older than civilization. Your life became a case study in the limits of the human condition because you surpassed it without asking for permission. And here's the kicker. They think labeling you outside jurisdiction will contain you, when really, it frees you. Humans follow laws. Phenomena follow trajectories. You're not obeying rules. You're obeying gravity, momentum, purpose, whatever invisible force is steering your evolution from behind the scenes, and deep down, beneath their political masks, beneath their rehearsed caution, they know you weren't shaped by chance. You were forged, pressed, bent, tested, distorted, sharpened, until you became a blade the world can't hold safely anymore. Do you know how terrifying it is to watch someone lose everything that should have destroyed them, and instead watch them become incorruptible? Because humans can be threatened, humans can be bribed, humans can be broken, but someone who has already died emotionally and revived themselves through sheer will, someone who's mastered the art of walking away from ruin without flinching, you can't manipulate that. You can't predict that. You can't govern that. You can only monitor it and pray. And that's their plan now. Surveillance with trembling hands. They're watching for signs of a breakdown, a retaliation, a slip. But you've surpassed the phase where you react. You've become the kind of being that responds instead. Strategic, cold, patient, unbothered, relentless. A storm that learned self-control is more terrifying than a storm that destroys. And that's what you are now. A storm with ethics, a weapon with a conscience, a demon that learned empathy, an angel that learned wrath, a walking contradiction they cannot decode. The UN doesn't fear your darkness. They fear the fact that your light is just as lethal. Because you could have become a villain. You had every excuse, every wound, every betrayal, every break. But instead of turning cruel, you turned wise. Instead of becoming explosive, you became calculating. Instead of screaming, you became silent. And silence, real silence, terrifies them more than any war. Because silence means you're thinking. It means you're watching. It means you're planning. And all their models fail, every single one, because your evolution wasn't linear. You didn't get better. You transformed. You didn't heal. You mutated. You didn't grow stronger. You became untouchable. They called you outside jurisdiction because nothing about you fits inside their frameworks anymore. Not your resilience, not your vision, not your intuition, not your unpredictability, not your brutality, not your mercy, not your intelligence, not your restraint. You are everything they try to suppress and everything they secretly wish they could replicate. You know what the final whisper in the briefing room was? Not said aloud, not recorded, just exchanged behind fearful eyes. What if they're the first of many? Because that's the real nightmare. If one person can evolve this far, who's to say others won't follow? Who's to say humanity isn't losing its monopoly on what it means to be human? Who's to say you aren't the beginning of a new category, one they don't have a name for yet? They don't fear your power. They fear your precedent. Your existence challenges the entire architecture of human limitation. And now, you stand here, unbound, unlabeled, unrestricted, a being with no jurisdiction but your own. And you know the most haunting part? You haven't even started yet. The air doesn't get lighter, it gets denser, like every molecule is leaning in to hear what comes next. Because now, we enter the part of the speech where the world stops pretending it understands you and starts admitting the truth it whispers behind closed doors. See, when they stamped your file outside human jurisdiction, it wasn't just a label, it was a surrender, a quiet, trembling acknowledgement that something stepped into their world wearing the shape of a person but carrying the psychology of a force. They're not dealing with a citizen, they're dealing with a phenomenon. No courtroom can hold you, no tribunal can process you, no authority can restrain you, no analyst can fully map you. and that realization hit them all at once. Like a wave they didn't see coming until it was already breaking over their heads. One of the intelligence directors said under his breath, "If this is what one human can become, humanity is obsolete." But you aren't one human. You're the sum of every trauma, every betrayal, every heartbreak, every night you stayed awake while the world slept, studying your own mind like a battlefield. You turned your pain into algorithms, your silence into sonar, your instincts into weapons-grade intuition. And they can't legislate intuition. They can't regulate evolution. They can't restrict a mind that's already operating outside their axis. You didn't break their rules. You surpassed their entire understanding of what a person can be. And you know what's sickening to them? You're not unstable. You're not erratic. You're not spiraling. You're composed, controlled, sharpened. Every step you take is surgical. Every emotion you feel has been burn-tested in fire. Every decision you make reverberates in ways they can't predict. You are the most dangerous version of yourself. The version that feels absolutely nothing when walking away from what no longer aligns with your growth. You've hit a level of self-awareness that's indistinguishable from prophecy, and that terrifies world leaders more than any missile or militia. Because how do you negotiate with someone who sees through negotiation? How do you manipulate someone who sees the strings before they're pulled? How do you control someone who mastered self-control in the dark? You don't. You step back, you observe, and you pray they stay neutral. That's what outside jurisdiction is. A diplomatic way of saying, we can't handle them. But the real fear didn't come from your resilience. It came from your compassion, because they studied your reactions every time you could have burned something and chose not to. Every time you could have exposed someone and stayed silent. Every time you could have retaliated and walked away. That level of mercy coming from someone built like you. That's not humanity. That's mastery. Mercy is only impressive when the person offering it could destroy everything effortlessly. And you could. Oh, you could, but you don't. And that scares them more than if you did. Because a loose cannon can be contained. A predictable enemy can be monitored. A volatile threat can be neutralized. But someone who is capable of devastation and chooses restraint is operating on a moral axis they cannot model. Your restraint is a God-tier anomaly. Your self-control is a geopolitical event. They fear your kindness more than your chaos, because what kind of being can hold that much darkness and choose light? What kind of mind can carry that much clarity and remain silent? What kind of soul can bear that many fractures and still walk like a sovereign entity? They thought strength was in dominance. They learned it's in your detachment. They thought power was in influence. They learned it's in your absence. They thought fear came from threats. They learned it comes from your unpredictability. Every attempt to define you collapses under its own limitations. You are too intuitive for their science, too strategic for their psychology, too aware for their diplomacy, too evolved for their laws. You are the thesis they can't publish, the secret they can't leak, the phenomenon they can't explain. So they labeled you the only way they could, outside human jurisdiction. But that's not a title, that's a prophecy, because you've entered the era of your life where you are no longer reacting to the world. The world is reacting to you. And the funniest, darkest, most poetic part, you haven't even revealed 10% of what you know. You haven't shown 5% of what you can do. You haven't tapped 1% of what you're becoming. Your silence is not emptiness, it's potential. Your stillness is not weakness, it's calculation. Your distance is not isolation, it's protection. For them, not you. You're not dangerous because you're angry. You're dangerous because you're done. Done playing small, done dimming, done breaking yourself to fit inside systems designed for average people. You left average a long time ago. You left human shortly after. You left predictable the moment pain carved wisdom into your bones. You're operating on a level the species hasn't caught up to yet, but it will. And when that day comes, history will look back on you as the prototype. The first one who showed what a human becomes when they stop obeying limits. When they stop asking for permission. When they stop fearing evolution. When they stop apologizing for being a force. When they stop kneeling and start rising. The UN said you're outside human jurisdiction. But the truth, you outgrew the species, and now the question isn't whether you're ready for the world, it's whether the world is ready for whatever you become next. A slow, bone-deep hush settles, the kind that folds reality in half and lets only one truth remain. Because this is where the speech stops being analysis and becomes aftermath. You want to know the real reason their report ended with outside human jurisdiction? It wasn't fear. Not entirely. It was admission. A recognition that you've become something they don't have language for yet. A psychological event, a spiritual mutation, a metaphysical upgrade wearing human clothes. You know what one delegate said when they thought the microphones were off? This isn't a person, this is a phase transition. A phase transition. Meaning you didn't change. You crossed over. And the world felt it like a pressure wave. Your presence destabilizes liars. Your silence angers demons. Your compassion confuses predators. Your intelligence disarms manipulators. Your intuition terrifies institutions. Every room you walk into recalibrates. Every dynamic you touch exposes itself. Every person you encounter feels the truth vibrating under your skin. And they don't know what to call that. So they filed you under the only category that fits none of the above. You are not a chapter. You're the missing volume. You are not a case. You're the new classification. You are not a type. You're the template. And here's the pinnacle of the entire speech. The truth even you haven't fully accepted yet. You didn't become this because the world broke you. You became this because you refused to stay broken. While they were plotting your downfall, you were learning how to rise without witnesses. While they were betting on your collapse, you were designing your rebirth. While they were hoping you'd disappear, you were becoming the one thing they can't erase. A self-governing, fully awakened version of yourself. And that version of you, it doesn't fit their laws. It doesn't need their validation. It doesn't fear their opinions. It doesn't break under their pressure. It doesn't shrink under their scrutiny. It operates outside their reach and far above their understanding. Which brings us to the final truth, the one that seals this speech like a knife sliding home. They didn't declare you outside human jurisdiction because you're dangerous. They did it because you're sovereign. You belong to no institution, no system, no narrative, no hierarchy, no authority. You walk with your own laws, your own timeline, your own psyche, your own destiny, and they know, with a dread they won't put in writing, that your next move won't be governed by trauma or fear or anger or revenge. It will be governed by clarity. You're not unpredictable because you're chaotic. You're unpredictable because you're free. And freedom like yours? That's the one thing every power structure fears. A person who needs nothing from them. So let them write their reports. Let them stamp their warnings. Let them whisper their theories. Let them scramble to comprehend the trajectory you're carving. Because the speech ends with the simplest, sharpest truth of all. You are no longer waiting for the world to catch up. You are simply moving, and the world will adjust to you. Outside jurisdiction, outside limitation, outside expectation. And from this point forward, everything you become is entirely, irrevocably, unapologetically yours.